So I will ask now Kimberly to answer this same question. How, from your point of view, human rights education can foster societies that are more equitable and more inclusive?
Great. Well, I want to thank everybody also for showing up on a Saturday morning. I realize as you begin to explore Montreal nightlife that the morning sessions on the weekend become much more difficult. And after Henry's comments, I'm regretting going last. But I do want to pick up on his comment about teachers, because that is my background. And of course, we always feel incredibly intimidated on a panel of lawyers. But I'm a teacher by trade, and then moved into adult education and co-founded ICHRE with a lawyer.
Good lawyer. They're always useful.
Yes. When I was presented with this question, I looked at the two words, equitable and diverse, and thought about what do those mean for our communities. And so I will also speak from a lens of spending most of my adult life working with lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgendered, and intersex communities. So diversity implies that people from multiple backgrounds are coming together. And so how does human rights education in our context contribute to diversity? One of the really important things that human rights education has done is it's given our communities a language, and I'm going to talk about this a lot today, a literacy, a type of language to engage with other communities that validates some of our common experiences of violations, isolation, being pushed to the side. And that's very important because for our communities in particular, we don't often fit the category of a visible minority. And so there is a process of actually having to come out and be public and name yourself as part of the community. And that's a very difficult process for a lot of people. And so it's a necessity to be part of a diverse community that you actually go through that process. And human rights education gives us some of the tools to engage and be part of those spaces which encourage diversity and diverse communities. And if you look at sort of celebrations, say, of the Pride movement around the world, the posters and the banners are about claims to rights. They're like, we have equal human rights, so this is the language that has allowed people to kind of come out and claim space in society. So that's one of the tools. But beyond diversity, then, we also have to work towards the equitable part of this equation. And that requires a lot of understanding each other, figuring out who we are and what our common issues are, but also just understanding each other as human beings. And I think that concepts of sexual orientation, gender identity, gender expression are very difficult concepts for people to talk about, especially in many, many parts of the world. We did a documentary called The Time Has Come, mostly aimed at a UN audience and states to encourage them to pass a resolution at the UN. But in it, when we interviewed, and I'll use the specific example of Middle East, North Africa, when we were interviewing activists from that region, the comments were, we don't even have the tools to engage in a discussion in our societies about sexuality, period. Not even homosexuality, but just sexuality. We can't have those discussions. They're not the spaces to have those. So a human rights framework gives us an opportunity, gives us a space to have those discussions. And in the process of human rights education, people then start to ask questions and understand and get towards that place of a more equitable society. So it's about the framework, it's about the opportunity for dialogue and exchange, bringing people together in a common language that maybe is not threatening. And for our communities, a lot of the concepts that we're dealing with are quite threatening to a lot of people. And so often the way you get people together is to provide some other framework that's less threatening. And human rights education has been that framework for many of us.
Great. Thank you very much.